Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gabriel.io, and I'm here today with Edi Demaj, the co-founder of KODE Labs. Good afternoon, Eddie. How you doing?
Doing well, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well. A beautiful day here in San Francisco. How's it in Detroit today?
It's still fairly warm considering how bad it could get here.
Yes, I've been there a few times. I do understand that. So
Yeah, it's okay. It's been an okay year from a weather perspective, but
yes,
everything else is unique.
yes. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. I moved to U.S. in 1999 from a small country out in Eastern Europe called Kosovo, and went to school here. Started working in and around real estate during college, after college, and kind of became obsessed with just the real estate space and real estate tech over time, and what technology could do for the real estate space and really smart cities and so on. And along the way, started a couple of different companies, partnered in a couple of different ones, exited some, the most recent one it being KODE Labs, which is kind of I think this will be the biggest of them all that I've done to date. And what we do with KODE Labs is it's a company that's in the real estate space. Happy to dig a bit deeper into that, but in essence, as far as background goes, just been in and around technology and real estate my whole career, and looking to kind of continue to build in and around that. I think there's a ton of opportunity there.
Yes. And when did you start KODE Labs? What year?
We started KODE Labs in late 2017.
Okay, so you're 3 years now. So you got your feet wet, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now we got our feet wet. There's about 50 of us now at KODE Labs. So we've been able to grow at a decent rate.
Mm-hmm.
Very fortunate and lucky, and continue to build. I mean, especially in the world we're living in, we're continuing to grow, which is unique, I think, to a lot of different businesses.
Yeah. So what has been your experience with remote employment as an employee and an employer? And it sounds like, and if you have 50 people, are they all in the US, or are they all over the world?
So we actually have two offices. We have our headquarters here in Detroit. Then we have another office in Kosovo, which is where we come from. Kind of our philosophy, myself and my co-founder, was also my brother, has always been, if we can kind of tie the two places that have made us and built us, that's what we wanted to do, and that's what KODE Labs is. In fact, the name itself is KO for Kosovo and D for Detroit. So that's how we've tied them. But look, it's been a unique experience for sure. I mean, we're in technology, so it makes it a bit easier to be able to keep working remotely. But there's not. My personal opinion is there's nothing that replaces the energy of being in the same space. I think what it's taught us is that we can work remotely, we can continue to execute, but over time, I'm sure I think this has made people more comfortable with the fact that, hey, if somebody doesn't show up to the office one day, doesn't mean they can't continue to execute. Mm-hmm. But my personal opinion, philosophy is that I like being able to meet in person as often as possible, because I think that's where innovation and kind of ideas flourish.
And the office in Kosovo, are they also on lockdown, or is Kosovo opened up?
No, so they've opened up from a perspective of, if you want to go to work, you can. There's they've removed the rules in and around. You can't everybody sit at home kind of a thing. Numbers are starting to grow a little bit there, so it's we'll see what happens in the near future. What we've done is we let everybody work from home. In fact we ordered everybody to work from home for a while. And then over the last, let's say, couple of months, we've tried to do, some people show up on Monday, some people come on Tuesday, and try and coordinate so that we just don't have everybody all in one place at the same time. And that's kind of how we've gotten around it to date, both in Kosovo and here in Detroit.
And are you in downtown Detroit?
Yeah, right downtown, middle of downtown. Love it. It's the city that we've been at since we moved from Kosovo, and it's a city that's really given us everything. We take great pride in it. We do what we can to give back, and it's really the country. I mean, it's a perspective. I don't know if you guys if you hear it very often, but we see so many things out in the news right now, and for a bit really. And sometimes we get caught up in that. But I think looking at it from somebody that wasn't born here and had an opportunity to move here and build, a life and really build their dream, there's no better country than this place. We continue to be the best country in the world. Do we have things we need to work on? Absolutely. But I personally, I continue to believe that we'll figure them out as we have over time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a perspective. I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but that's
all right. I agree with you. I think we need more perspective like that. Look at the positive, not the negative, because there's a lot of positive. And I have been to Detroit, and I know those people. Those are hardworking, hardy people there, and right.
Phenomenal people, man. And we've, at one point, Detroit was kind of like the backbone of the U.S. economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we still have our big three, which is phenomenal, and they've made it through this pandemic, I think, okay, and they continue to deliver and keep up with what's happening in the world. And now we're building, a ton of other companies in and around here that you have startups that are coming out of Detroit that are unicorns now.
Mm-hmm.
Startups that started within 3 years they became unicorns in Detroit, which is crazy to think about, because you think of unicorns that fast and you think of the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Think of New York. Well, Detroit, we're working towards it. I think we're continuing to push the limits, and I think we'll be back where we were once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shortly.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I think COVID has actually kind of helped places like Detroit and other smaller. Detroit's not a small city, but you know what I mean. They're not thought of as technological hubs.
Right.
Now you can really start, a tech business anywhere in the world.
For sure. And, the beauty of Detroit, downtown Detroit, and in this business area is that we actually have one of the biggest, best, fastest, most reliable tech infrastructures in the world, not US, in the world. And we built that with Rocket Fiber, which was a company that, I was a co-founder of, and then we just exited this year. That was so when you think of a place to go and build a tech company, I mean, you literally have everything. The cost of living is not as high. The infrastructure is in place. The city is phenomenal. We have a ton to do, and it's really the city and the state. So the only downside is you have winter. And if you don't like the cold, then that may be a bit of an issue. But to your point about where do you want to be, even if you work for other companies that are in other cities, right? I think Detroit is an attractive place for somebody that now can work remotely.
Yeah,
you can live here, you can build a life here. There's surrounding areas that have phenomenal schools and great areas to live in. And again, the cost of living is not as high as other places, and you can work remotely for a lot of these companies now. You travel often. To your point, COVID has taught us a lot.
Yeah, and if you're from Kosovo, I'm going to assume you're used to the winters.
I am, yeah, for sure. They're not. I don't think they're as strong as they can be sometimes in Michigan. I think we're just a tad bit, bigger. Kosovo is just a little bit closer to the seaside there in Albania and Italy, but yeah, generally speaking, used to the four seasons and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think is the future of remote employment, since we've started to talk about it, and what do you think can be done differently to make it more effective?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, there's a lot of talk about this topic. The interesting thing is I think recruiting has changed. I think it's changed forever. You no longer have to recruit, in the surrounding cities that you're in. You can recruit from anywhere in the world. And I think we're going to continue to innovate in and around this idea of not being in the same space, so that it feels like you're in the same room. And I think there's going to be other things that are going to come out now, especially as internet speeds, for example, continue to increase. It allows for these high bandwidth applications to be built. And I mean, before we had Zoom and Skype and so on, we didn't think anything like it was a dream, right? And I think what we're going to see here over the next couple of years is going to be something that I don't think the mind can handle right now. So with regard to change of employment, I think COVID is, like I said, it's taught us a lot. I think recruiting I think recruiting will be the single biggest change we will see. agree people will be working remote and be doing a lot of these things. I think co-working spaces will actually become more of a thing.
Yeah.
They were hot pre-COVID. I think they're going to get really hot now, because when you work remote, I mean, look, as cool as it is to work at home, if you have kids, I have a 3-year-old. If I'm at and he knows I'm at home, I mean, he's coming by. When he needs to come by, he's coming by, and well, it's beautiful, and you love your kid or whatever else you have going on, pet or whatnot. It's you need time to zone in, and I think co-working spaces are going to be a thing, a really hot thing here going forward. Those are kind of the areas I see. I think the biggest change that will happen from my perspective.
Yeah, and since you brought up co-working spaces, why don't you tell us what KODE Labs does? Because I think your product will help co-working spaces.
Yeah, I mean, the KODE Labs, we have the short answer is we have simplified the way that commercial real estate gets automated and integrated. The longer answer is that we take all core building systems in mixed use buildings, office buildings, hotels, residential, whatnot. We take those core building systems, bring them into this unified single pane of glass platform and operating system, so that you kind of democratize the data that you have access to in these buildings, and you make that data available. Then we've built applications, essentially feature sets, modules on top of that, that integrate them all, allow for transparency, visibility, allow for controllability, and then we run ton of machine learning and analytics in and around whether it's IoT sensors or whatever systems in the building we're integrating to help optimize the buildings. And last but not least, and I think one of the most unique parts of what we do is the fact that what we do is quantifiable. It's not a pitch on a pretty software that gives you some visibility. You get visibility, control, you get to see the savings, you get to quantify operational savings as well as energy. There's a huge movement in and around making real estate net zero with regard to energy consumption. That's you need KODE Labs. That's what we do.
Yeah. That sums it up. So, just out of curiosity, would you benefit a new building more or an existing building?
Both, actually. That's the beauty of it. So it's a completely vendor agnostic platform. Think of it as a software layer. We think that there are companies that make hardware that have been making the hardware for a long time, and they do a good job. What we've done is we've built that software layer that ties it all together, where you no longer have to just buy from one vendor to be able to integrate and tie things together. You can buy from whoever you want or need to. It all comes to a single platform. And if you're an existing building, we come in and we integrate the existing systems that you have. If you're a new building, we work with you and helping you. If you need help picking stuff, we help you, pick the different systems, or you can just pick whatever you want. And then again, our platform is that location, that centralized location that gives you access to data and ability to, because real estate taps out with regard to revenue, right? 100% occupied, you're 100% occupied. And what we do is we make the building more comfortable. We make equipment and systems in the building last longer. We give you automated predictive maintenance. We give you a way to optimize those different systems based on occupancy or whatever sensors you have. Air quality is a big deal now with COVID. All of that can run through our platform and then give you the visibility that you need on your phone. And again, direct and control and run your building as you need to.
So you basically have the smart building that, one of the things IBM talks about.
Yeah, IBM does talk a lot about it. I think we're more nimble. I think we're more flexible. I think IBM is a big monster, and they're phenomenal. They do some amazing things. But I actually think our platform is better with respect to what we do in this space.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you were to call IBM and say, "Hey, I want a smart building," they would say, "What?" But if
you
they
call IBM and say, "I want a smart building," they're going to say, "You know what? Sure, we'll come and we'll charge you a few $1 million to consult and put some things together." Versus, again, you call KODE Labs, it's affordable, and it's quantifiable.
Right. That sounds great, man. So we've talked about the pandemic, and that forced everybody to go remote. You had the typical remote model, 2 different headquarters, right?
Yeah.
So, but did the pandemic cause any challenges or roadblocks that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So throughout the year, what we do is we have team members that come to US and team members that go to Kosovo, and think of it as like an exchange program between the two offices that goes on throughout the year. Myself and my co-founder go to Kosovo 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. Make sure that we're spending time between the two offices with our teams, and we haven't been able to do that. In fact, since right before COVID started, where my partner, my brother, went out there right before COVID, and then COVID started, and we weren't able to see them physically in the same place throughout COVID. I just went a couple of weeks ago because we were able to do that, and travel was extremely unique, and so has it changed? Has it been a challenge in some respect? 100% yes, because like I said, we like to be able to meet in person. It's one of our just philosophies that we have. But again, technology has helped a ton, though, right? Like we're on calls nonstop, we're on video nonstop. It's a bit easier than I think, obviously, than it could have been. But yeah, there's definitely challenges. I mean, on a business side, outside of like our core internal team, it's extremely challenging because we travel, we go visit clients all over. Like we're a platform that goes in the world, so we have clients all over US and Canada, and talking to Europe and Australia and so on. And when you meet with clients again in person, it's a different thing. It's all of a sudden the sales cycle is a bit shorter. These relationships and do the things that biz dev requires and you to do. We haven't been able to do that as much. So from that perspective, it's definitely a challenge. On the other side, people have a lot of time now. So to reach out to them, they're a bit more likely to jump on a call with you. So there's the good, the bad, and this and balance.
Well, we adjust, right? And just out of curiosity, what's the time difference between Detroit and Kosovo?
It's 6 hours. So Kosovo is 6 hours ahead of us. Yeah. So when we wake up here, they have a lot of tasks for us to do already.
Your inbox is full, right?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, finally, there's companies like Gabriel that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups. How important do you think that's going to be going forward? I mean, you already embraced that model because I'm assuming you're doing some dev out of Kosovo, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. It's a mix of Kosovo and Detroit. And I mean, I think what you guys do, I think is actually more important than ever, and irrelevant of COVID, in my opinion. And I say that as a person that started multiple companies, has been involved in multiple different ones, and see and talk to entrepreneurs all the time, founders that are, hey, I have this idea, but then like now, did I go build a team? In fact, we talked to one last night where, he has an idea that I think is actually a pretty good idea, but he needs everything. He has no team, doesn't really know where to turn to next. He's like, maybe I can raise the money, but then you have to build your tech team, you have to build your marketing team, you have to build your sales, so on and so forth. You can go to a company like that could help you kind of put these things in place because they have the experience and the track record. I think it's more important than ever. I think we're going to see more companies started as a result of COVID. And I think that market will just continue to grow. And personally, I'd recommend any especially new founder to go to somebody. They look for advice and they look for all these things. If you're able to raise around, then go to somebody that can help you stand it up and give you a hand in building it. And then as you build it and as you see fit is kind of how you direct it. But I think it'll be extremely important to be able to get tied to a company that offers the services you guys offer.
Well, feel free to introduce me to your friend. I'll be happy to talk to him and give him advice, right? Because I've dealt with developers all over the world. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Cool. Well, Edi, I want to thank you for your time today. I think you got a really great product there. I mean, it's obviously going to help the planet, which and I hope you take off, man. Because go Detroit, right? Go! I'm a hockey fan. Go Wings!
There you go, man. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have a great day, bud.
You as well.